Welcome to this episode of Beatin' and Bangin'. I'm your host, Kyle Dalton. This is just our second episode, but the name of our channel couldn't be more appropriate after what happened during Sunday's Cup race at Kansas. There was some serious beating and banging going on throughout the race, including an incident in the last stage between Noah Gragson and Ross Chastain, the driver who it feels like adds to his growing list of other drivers unhappy with him on an almost weekly basis. Before a quick recap of the Kansas on-track incident, remember, it was just a few weeks ago at Talladega on that late restart when Gragson appeared to leave an opening on the front row and Chastain dove right into it and filled it, which resulted in contact with the number 42 and it veering hard right into the outside wall. So there is a history between the two drivers. On Sunday, with just over 60 laps remaining, the pair battled for the 14th spot, coming out of turn 4 with the Trackhouse driver on the inside. That's when the number 42 car slid up the track and made contact with the wall. Gragson didn't hesitate in showing who he thought was to blame and responded by driving down the track into the side of the number 1 car. And that was just the warm-up. Almost an hour later, and after Gragson had finished 29th and Chastain 5th, the Legacy Motor Club driver motored down pit road on foot for a little chat with the watermelon farmer. It escalated quickly, with Gragson dropping a few F-bombs before using his left hand to grab a hold of Chastain's fire suit on his chest. He then starts moving Chastain backward before shaking him several times. That's when the Trackhouse driver didn't like how things were going and decided it was time to respond. And he did, in a big way, delivering a hard right punch to Gragson's face. When you slow the exchange down, you see several interesting things happen. The first of note is the instant Gragson grabs him by the chest, Chastain immediately puts both hands on both of Gragson's arms. That's a veteran move, not allowing your foe to have a free hand for a free shot. That allowed Chastain to have a free hand if he so chose, and he did, releasing his right hand off of the rookie driver's upper left arm and delivering a full-powered shot to the left side of Gragson's face. You can audibly hear the solid contact. What's impressive in slow motion is to see how Gragson's head rocks back, but he isn't fazed at all and comes back ready to fire a right of his own. However, a nearby NASCAR official bravely stepped in because he could have taken that shot, preventing Gragson from landing his counter. Several other officials jumped in within seconds, and the two drivers were eventually pulled apart. What happened next was really interesting. As Gragson walked away from the fracas, he heard from another driver, Chase Elliott, who casually walked by, heading to the garage. Several minutes later, Gragson visited with reporters and talked about what happened in the race and the comments from the 2020 champion.
Has to go in the race. I don't get it. I mean, just completely used us up and fed us. So, I'm not going to tear the Trackhouse guys' stuff up. I respect their hard work and everything, but nobody confronts a guy. And I went down there and grabbed him and showed my displeasure. So I'm sick and tired of it. The guy just runs into everyone. I mean, when you got guys like Chase Elliott and other guys telling you to go beat his ass, everyone's just sick and tired of him, but nobody has the balls to go up and get him. So I'm tired of it.
It's nice that Elliott effectively praised Gragson for his efforts, albeit they got him punched in the face. But should Elliott and the other veteran drivers be relying on a rookie to do the dirty work? Or was this the plan by the veterans, to let a rookie get his introduction into the series by doing that dirty work? Chastain has upset at least 10 drivers at this point. This could have been handled long before the incident at Kansas, and honestly, it's likely going to continue until more drivers stand up to him and do the same, always mindful of that right hand if and when they do approach. Speaking of Chastain's right hand, during his post-race comments a few minutes later, the 30-year-old initially declined comment about the incident while giving an interview to MRN. But then, when the Fox cameras came around, he made an interesting remark about a team policy on fighting. Take a listen.
Gragson, what took place in your eyes?
I got tied off of 4 for sure, and Noah and I have a very similar attitude on the racetrack, and we train together, we prepare together, we know each other's every little bit about each other. So yeah, I definitely crowded him up off of 4, and he took a swipe out of us in 3, and then came down, grabbed a hold of me, and a very big man once told me we have a no push policy here at Trackhouse. So
basically, Chastain is saying he wasn't going to push back because that's not the team policy. Instead, he delivered a punch, and a big one at that. I don't know that Trackhouse officials wanted to hear him say that and reveal their protocols, and I'm pretty sure NASCAR officials won't think that's a good idea. But with that policy, it then makes you wonder, did he naturally make that move to grab Gragson's hands when he grabbed him by the chest because he's been in that situation before? Or is it possible the organization pays for the drivers to take fighting lessons? Just something interesting to think about. And one last thing from the entertaining conflict between Gragson and Chastain. It happened later in the rookie driver's interview when he brought up retaliation without even saying it.
Not the fastest this year. He's probably going to be lapping us quite a bit this year. Once or twice a race, it seems like that's what the trend has been so far this year. So, yeah, we've got 2 opportunities every single race.
Oh, the irony of those comments. Retaliation has been a hot topic this year, most notably because Chastain's first enemy from last year, Denny Hamlin, who admitted earlier this season to retaliating against the Trackhouse driver on his podcast a day after the Phoenix race, and then surprisingly received a $50,000 fine and a 25-point deduction from NASCAR. Gragson hinting at having the opportunity to retaliate a couple of times a race isn't what NASCAR officials want to hear. They'll likely be closely watching the number 42 car whenever he's around the number 1 car in the coming weeks, just to see if he tries to finish what he started at Kansas. If you think about it, it's pretty incredible to think 18 months ago, Ross Chastain was a relative nobody signing with Trackhouse. Then he won multiple races last year, the Hail Melon happened, and he finished second in the playoffs. This year, he's the points leader. He's talked about regularly because he's running up front and being aggressive. Now, he's added a stiff right hook into the discussion. Love him or hate him, there's no denying that Ross Chastain is entertaining for NASCAR. Let us know in the comments what you think about the Kansas craziness that happened on Sunday. Do you think Noah overreacted? Were you upset that NASCAR officials jumped in so fast? Will more drivers be more willing to confront Chastain now that Gragson has done it? Or will his punching power scare away potential challengers? What a time to be a NASCAR fan. All right, guys, thanks again for your time. If you want to read more stories like this video, be sure and check out my articles on sportscasting.com. I'll include a link in the description. Hope to see you guys in the next video and hope you have a great rest of your day.